Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashem, Al Shai Bashem, Rakakwadash, Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. And I'm going to entitle this video Prophecy Timeline, dated 10/26/2025. And the subtitle is, Can Daniel chapter 2 be talking about NATO and the EU? Now I said it one way and they gave it to me another way. Again, Daniel chapter 2 be talking about NATO in the EU. There's a couple other words that were put up in there that I didn't say, so I kind of chopped those words off. So, can Daniel chapter 2 be, it should be referring or talking about, referring to NATO and the EU. So this is, I guess you can call this an installment of Prophecy Timeline. You have the video here that was put up 3 hours ago by Apostle Ariam Lab and the Elder Pashai, because he's down in the Baltimore. Okay, it says here, new to streaming or looking to level up, check out StreamYard. Okay, I don't know if he put this in there. That's if you want to do live stuff. So anyway, this is new, no comments. But so you know what I'm gonna do? Let me just go play the beginning of this, because this could be a series. Like I said, it may be a series. So this is could be the first installment of the series, which was put up by GMS Info Doc channel. But I'm gonna go into that question, and I didn't go to chat. I'm gonna ask chat the same question. So let me just go ahead and play it. And the mark in the MOTB in Revelation 13 and 16 is definitely the chip. Even Bishop Nathaniel sees it, because he did a video 3 days ago. Because when I did the video, it was 2 days ago that he did it. So it was 3 days ago on one of his main pages. And a part of the title, the second part of the title, the secondary title, was the Mark of the Beast. So I said, I think it was 4 hours long, something like that, 3 and change. You can watch the video. I did it yesterday. Anyway, I said I wanted to find out when he started talking about the actual second subject, the secondary subject, which was entitled The Mark of the Beast. So I went down to, what do you call that, transcript, and I pulled up the transcript, and then I put in Mark of the Beast, I put in the Beast, I put in a whole lot of different words, Revelation 13:16, Revelation 13:16 didn't come up, Beast, I don't even think it came up in relation to Revelation 13 and 16, but Revelation 13 and 16 didn't come out at all. And what else did I put in? I put in sin, I put in the mark. Then I finally put down Mark of the Beast, and it popped up, that phrase popped up 2 times. So when you go to, that was in the beginning, maybe the first 11 minutes into that video. And basically he's just, mentioning the title. That's the title. He doesn't, throughout the whole 3.5, 4 hours, he does not go in to the subject of the Mark of the Beast. So I took that to be, clickbait, to get people to watch the video. Now, why would you use that as a topic and not even talk about it, not even say anything on it? You know, because he's obsessed with it now. He losing sleep. I'm sure that. I'm quite sure. And he knows in his heart of hearts that the mark of the beast is the microchip. Because a couple of years back, he said they might throw a microchip in there. Deacon Malachi, he said a couple of weeks ago, and I did a video on that. You can go to my page. He was talking about the mark. He broke it down the same way. The Bishop Nathaniel broke it down. And then he added in there, he said, and don't take the chip either. Well, what does that have to do with the subject? If it has nothing to do with the chip, why'd you bird out? Don't take the chip either. You know, because when they're going through it, they're thinking about us, and they've been, you know, coming against what we've been saying for so long. That for them to say, you know what, the mark of the beast is microchip, that's going to be a shakeup, and they're going to say, well, wait a minute, GMS been saying that for years, and you've been talking shit about them. Now, most of the men there are zombies anyway, so you can tell them that the beast is the purple dinosaur, and they'll believe that shit. They'll break it down. The beast, brother, is the purple dinosaur. Barney, that's the beast. Because it's zombies, but some of them got working brains. Some of them are intelligent. Some of them know how to think out the box. So those are the ones that's you're gonna get the, you know, the kickback. You know. Anyway, let me just go ahead and let me just go ahead and play this. And we keep talking about this. All this, the November 1st, we're gonna cut off food stamps. That's all a part of the bigger plan. It's all it's part of a plan. They want Jake to go buck wild so they can have an excuse to bring military up in here. Now that military, all those ICE members and these National Guards, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard, anything that has to do with military. They're all coming to America, right? But they're all going to be emptied. And I spoke on this. I speak on that all the time. Spoken it the other day. That they're going to be sent down to a place barren and desert between the Red Sea and the Euphrates. That's pointing to Iraq and Kuwait. And the backside is to the Red Sea, and that in between the Red Sea and the Euphrates, that whole area is called Havilah. That's desert. That's all desert out there. That's where they had Desert Storm was at. Now speaking about that, if you guys know about it, I was there when it happened. They had Desert Shield, and then they had Desert Storm when they attacked the people of Iraq, and that was a full-scale war against the U.S. against Iraq. The U.S. was backing up Kuwait because Iraq was trying to annex Kuwait because they were saying this was part of our land and U.S. interests. You know, Kuwait is U.S. interests. You know, that's why they, sent the troops over there. So they sent a whole lot of troops over there. But this time, they're going to send all the troops. So all these ICE agents, whether they have jurisdiction to take them over there, because ICE is like in-house, but they'll probably take them over there too. They're going to take generals and sergeants and lieutenants that have retired. And they said, nope, you got to send your ass back there. They got their number on speed dial. Well, I was retired. I retired. I did my 20 years. I retired. 10 years ago. I did my 20 years, or however many, 21 years. And they said, well, they'll pull out and write a law. Okay, wait a minute, you got to go back over there. So a lot of these people that retired did their time up in age, being in their 40s, 50s. They're gonna go over there and they're gonna die over there too. So that's that timeline, man. The fact that they are Where are we? The hell? Okay, right here. I'm sorry. Right here. Timeline, prophecy timeline. This should be an ongoing, it may be an ongoing series. Prophecy timeline. How do we know that we're at the end? When you go to Daniel 2, you see that statue? The feet of it is the end. That's the last empire. So the next ruling empire would be the kingdom of heaven. So where are we living in relation to that prophecy? Living right at the feet. The feet of it came about in the NATO NATO part came about in 1949. The EU part came about in which was a European EEC, European Economic Community. Later became the EU, the EU, European Union. That was in 57, 58. They got a chart in 58. So this happened before a lot of you were born, before I was born. Right? So let's go ahead and listen. And I asked Google this question, and I'm going to ask chat this question.
All right, let's start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Prophecy Timeline, dated October 26, 2025. And I'm joined with the Elder Pashai.
Shalom.
And pretty much, this is a continuation. Lord's will, it'll be a series, based off of the title that the Elder Pastor threw at me in one of the videos. And we did the first installment yesterday, on our way to the DC camp. We were going to hold camp with those brothers, but we didn't get a chance to get, there because, we were running a little late. Plus, there was a lot of traffic down in that area that as the brothers told us, it was kind of crazy out there. So we just ended up fellowshipping with the brothers after camp. And we did the first installment. And last night before I laid down, there was a thought that came to mind. And that thought that came to mind was about the different major cities of the world out there, and how many major cities in the world are there, but then it gets, a little crazy when you try to narrow it down like that. So I just put in how many countries are there in the world, and there are approximately roughly around 198 countries. So my question to the chat was, matter of fact, let me just go to it. My question to the chat was, how many countries are there in the world? It says, as of 2025, there are 195 countries in the world. The total includes 193 member states of the United Nations UN, 2 observer states, the Holy See, Vatican City, and Palestine. And now you know why the mini caps are trying to get this state here, or this plot of land, to join the UN and all of that,
No, they don't want them to join the UN. You have these other Arab states that want them to join the UN, but the small hats don't want them to join, because then the UN troops have to come in, because that would be making a police action. That would make it a civil war instead of a war against another sovereign. So they don't want them to become a Palestine unless they take that whole land. Then it can be a part of the UN. As soon as they become, just like, it's no different than Ukraine begging to be a part of NATO, and NATO members are saying no. Why are they saying no? What's the reason behind it? Because as soon as the very minute that Ukraine becomes a member of NATO, then guess what? That's World War III. And they know it. The leadership of the NATO nations, the current president, they know that there's World War III. And Biden knew it. He said, they asked him, are you going to send troops? He said, no, because that would mean World War III. So he knew. So the small hats do not want Palestine to become a member of the UN, or they would have to stop the war, because that's an attack from another member of another UN member state. So get it right, troop.
Because, they're trying to get this back. Anyway, that goes into something else. So it says some lists might differ slightly depending on whether certain territories or regions like Taiwan, Kosovo, or Western Sahara are counted as independent countries. All right. So my next question was, how many of those countries adopted or are adopting digital IDs? Because this is the talk now. Everything is going digital. It's been going digital. We've been speaking about the MOTB being the, micro C here. And the talks now is that these different, countries are all adopting some form of digital ID. And why is that? Because
I'm not even going to let you read it. I'm going to read it my damn self. What the data shows, according to World Bank's ID 4D global data set, 186 out of 198 countries, that's all the countries in the world, which includes Palestine as well, had a fundamental starting point ID system with digital format identity records in mid-2022. Out of those, at least 132 countries supported some form of digital so everybody's up in arms about UK like they just came up with. No, this has been going on. Form of digital. You better wake up and smell the coffee, Bishop Nate. You better wake up and you don't look like a fool. You're going to look like a damn fool when it actually comes and your zombies say, "Do we got to take that thing? Is that really the mark of the beast, or is I thought it was sin?" You better swallow your pride, cause you look bad with the Cornelius thing. You kicked us out cause we said Cornelius was an Israelite. Now you teach it. You're gonna lose again. You're gonna take another L, my man. General Yohana, he's gonna have to explain himself. Captain Tazariak, the couple of times. The couple of times that you said that GMS High Priest is Alex Jones, well, you might want to say, well, can I get Alex Jones' number because I want to be under him too. He's snapping on us, but I laughed at it. You're gonna have a lot of explaining to do too. I'm talking to you, Captain Terrific. Okay. I'm talking to you, There was a show called Captain Terrific. Captain Tazariak. You're going to have to eat your words too. You're going to have to do there's a lot of splaining you're going to have to do. Out of those, at least 132 countries, I'm laughing at Captain Terrific. I just came to my mind. That was a TV show. Look it up. You probably can see episodes on YouTube. Captain Terrific. Supported some. You got, you know me. I be bugging out sometimes. So what did Paul say? Bear with me in my folly. Supported some form of digital verification or authenticity authentication, like or to make authentication in person via their ID system. What kind of ID system? Digital ID system. Digital system, fundamental ID system with digital format. Ultimately, it will be the chip. On a deeper level of fully assured digital identity credentials, government recognized, allowing remote authentication online service. The number drops to 81 countries. All the countries are going to accept it, right? Another secure PDI map finds that among 210 countries, research 164. What do you mean? Where you get the 210 countries? I thought it was 198. 164 claims to have a digital or electronic ID system, but only 93 are in rollouts. I can't see this. With authentication mechanism, and only 57 have systems operational across two sectoral use cases. So let me let this go.
It's to fulfill prophecy. Now, what I did real quick, I mean, if you have any precepts, just, feel free. So what I did was I typed in Google. It says, what is digital identification and what is it used for? Just to see what it said. It says a digital ID is an electronic representation of personally identifying information. That's PII right there. That may be used to verify the identity of a person. A mobile driver's license is a type of digital ID issued by a state. Because really, ever since Esau took over in America, they set up something called a straw man. And the straw man is a fictitious, pretty much like a fictitious identity, it doesn't really represent you. It represents, it's like a stand-in for you. This is why when you go to court or when you have different governmental documentation like a birth certificate or driver's license, if you look at it, your name is written in all caps. Why is that? Because you're a fictitious entity. Because your name is spelled, the first name is, the first letter is capital, the rest is small case. Same thing with your last name. But when you're identified by the estate or the country that you're in, it's all caps because you are a fictitious corporation. That is a representation of you, not you yourself. It's just like any corporation you see out there, their name is all caps. Why is that? Because it's not a real.
Yeah, that's called a straw man. All cap names is straw. It's a straw man. When you go to court, they ask you if you're going to represent yourself, meaning represent your straw man. So anyway, let's do this. And I'll come back to this. I want to get a little bit more of this. Let's go to, where are we? Okay. Can Daniel chapter 2 be talking about NATO and the EU? AI overview. There is no biblical basis to conclude that the feet of iron and clay in Daniel chapter 2 refer specifically to NATO and the European Union. This is an interpretive claim made by some modern commentators, mainstream biblical scholars. So when you got these Christians that say, "Oh, you guys just make these prophecies up," no, there's Christian scholars that say the same thing, that agree with what we say, that say what we say. Mainstream biblical scholarship understands the prophecy in its historical and eschatological context, not as a detailed prediction of contemporary political alliances. They say no, it's not a political, it means something else. But like we just read, you just heard me say, mainstream biblical scholarship and modern commentators. Because now you got these news people mentioning the Bible, Revelation. And that's going to come up. When they push that mark up, it's going to be on the news media, American news media around the world. The question is going to be whether that's the mark of the beast. And they're going to have an expert. No, it's not the mark of the beast, to get you dummies to take it. So it says here, right? Does Daniel 2, verses 41 to 42, indicate that the European Union can, Daniel 2, 40 to 41 to 42, refers to the Anglo-American world power, possibly including NATO. This world power, see, Google, when you read it, they'll tell you one thing, then you read down, they'll tell you something else. I'll give you an example. I asked Google, is cancer a parasite? And they say no. Then I go to the article. First article that pops up, cancer is a parasite. All cancers are parasites. You kill the parasite, you kill the cancer. According to what I read, this world power came into existence during World War I. Actually after World War II. NATO came about after World War II. We're talking 45. It was like 5 years. Yeah, 45. Yeah, 4 years later. And the EU was about almost 10 years later. About 8 years later. So it wasn't World War I. This world, 14 answers to answer 41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes part is clay and part, they get skipping around. I'm not going to click on all of this, but this to show you that they know. Okay, is Europe mentioned in Revelation? The prophecy of Daniel 2 and 7 and Revelation 13 lay out the kingdoms in history which will become modern day. Ooh-wee! I didn't know they were going to say that. I got to read that again. Is Europe mentioned in Revelation or Revelations? The prophecy of Daniel 2 and 7, chapter 7, and Revelation 13 lay out the kingdoms in history which will become modern day Europe as of November 2017. So when vocab say you guys just making it up, you just making it up as you go along. Nope. Well, the scholars are making it up too. Your Christian scholars are making it up too then, if that's the case. And we read these things just to back up what we've been saying. Saying even Christians, not the regular, everyday, average, run-of-the-mill Christian. We're talking about Christian scholars that write books. Christian scholars that specialize in prophecy. What is the relationship between the EU and NATO? Who are the nations in Daniel 2? Let's just see what this says. Okay, good. First, not all nations mentioned in Daniel 2 are European nations. The dream in Daniel 2 starts with the Babylonian and Medo-Persia, and only then do we see Greece and Rome emerge. This is modern day Rome. This is the new Rome. Can a country be in the EU and NATO? Can a country be? Of course, absolutely. There it is. What European countries are mentioned in the Bible? Well, that's an interesting one. European areas mentioned in the Bible include Greece, Italy, specifically Rome. Yep, that's why when you go to the New Testament, you got to make references to Rome. You got to know that history. Here you got right? You got parts in Greece and North Macedonia and Scythia. The Scythians are Israelites. So you can know. Let me say it again. The Scythians are Israelites. Paul spoke about the Scythians in the scriptures and saying that they can receive salvation. Romania and Bulgaria, these people in Romania and Bulgaria, a lot of them are Israelites. If you box, there's a lot of Russian boxers. Anytime you go to the gym, where the gyms that I went through, you're going to run into a lot of Russian boxers. A lot of them is cool as hell. Got them act like damn Jakes. Let me just see what this is. This is Daniel 9. Let me just see what they say. The 490-year prophecy from Daniel is known as the prophecy of the 7 weeks, a prediction of 490-year period for Israel marked by divine judgment and redemption event leading to the Messiah. This period is divided into 70 weeks of years, which they're right on that 490 years. About what is that? 70 times 7? Somebody do the math. Yeah, 7 times 7, isn't that 49? Plus the 0 behind it makes it 490. It begins with a decree to rebuild Jerusalem. They're correct. They're 100% correct. And conclude with the death of the Messiah. They're 100% correct. The establishment of everlasting right. Nope, that comes later. And the rededication of the temple. The rededication of the temple is going to take place in the kingdom because we are that temple. That's what they don't understand. They're looking to build an actual building. We are that temple. We are the New Jerusalem. Okay, who are the nations in Revelation 20 verse 8? NLT, he will go to nations called Gog and Magog. Sand to the sea, they don't tell you. They don't tell you. What was Russia called in the Bible? Right, the Rush. The Rush. Russia is chief prince. Russia. Right, Prince of Rush. Actually, no, that's right, Prince of Rush. Prince of Head, or head prince. Meshach and Tubal. Which the scholars are now saying Meshach is really called now Moscow, and Tubal is Tublix in Siberia. So when it said the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, the scholars are saying the chief prince of Moscow and Tublix is described in the context end time prophecy. Interpretation link these names to modern day Russia and surrounding regions. But you can go on and on. But they were right, man. The 490 years, they were spot on. They were spot on. Because you got Christians saying, oh, that's the rapture, and, the 7 years of tripping. No. Daniel chapter 9, which they were explaining, Daniel chapter 9, it already took place. Everything took place. And it ended with 70 AD, during that time period. Okay, so let me do this. And I'm going to go back to the video. Let me go ahead and ask. See, Nero's is right where he's supposed to be. Okay. Come over here. let me. Okay, so can Daniel chapter 2 be talking about NATO in the EU and the EU? That's an interesting question, and one that's been discussed quite a bit in some modern prophecy interpretations. Let's look at it carefully, what Daniel 2 actually says. Daniel chapter 2 records King Nebuchadnezzar's dream of a giant statue made in 4 kinds of metals. Okay, let's kind of breeze through this. Head, gold, Babylonians. Chest and arms, silver, Medo-Persia. Belly and thighs of bronze, Greece. Legs, iron, Rome. Feet and toes, iron mixed with clay. A divided kingdom, partially strong and partly strong and partly brittle, which they're not telling you who they are. We know, we fill the blanks. So I want to know what when they mention the 4 metals. Okay, let's come down here. 3. Modern prophetic speculation, EU, NATO. Some modern interpreters, especially prophetic and evangelical circles, connect the iron mixed with clay to modern alliances such as European Union and NATO, arguing Rome, legacy, European civilization, clay, weak democratic unit of fragile alliances, toes, 10 nations, EU, NATO have more than 10 members. Well, but it was started with 10. It's initially 10. Even though there's like 30 nations, 30 plus nations, I believe, right now. Ukraine desperately wants to join the NATO alliance. The mixture of iron and clay together, mixture. Okay, this interpretation sees the EU or NATO as a continuation or revival of the Roman Empire, possibly preceding end time events. So what part of the prophetic timetable are we in? We're in the time of the toes, of the feet rather, of the feet. Prophetic, futuristic, which we're prophets and we're prophetic people, and we're futurists, which is prophecy, something that's going to happen in the future. End-time alliance, EU, NATO, resonates with modern events. Text doesn't mention modern entities. Speculative. Okay, so now let's come back over here. Where are we? Listen to a little bit more. Then I'm going to get ready to close.
Person is not a real entity. It's a representation. So this digital ID is their way of transitioning that straw man effect into the computer age, because they want to make you a fictitious entity so that you can be a slave, because your straw man makes you a slave to whatever city or state.
True that, because if you were born in the contiguous United States as opposed to the corporate United States, you're freeborn. So corporatize you by making your mother sign an application, and when you grow up, you get the driver's license application, this application, that, food stamp, anything. You go get if you want to rent a house, an apartment, you got to be connected to the government, right? HUD or whatever. So that makes you a, you're repping your strong man, because that's what you are. Because we're dealing in the corporate world. We're part of that corporation. A person, when you look up Law's Dictionary, I know. What did I have? I have a fourth. Black Law's Dictionary. I have a fourth, and if you got a fourth, you good. If you got a six, you good. I got a sixth edition and a fourth edition, and you can't tell me nobody got the first edition. Who got Rothschild got the first edition of the Black's Law Dictionary. I got 4 and 6, and then when it says person, it tell you a person is a fictitious individual, which is a straw man. See, but when you go to court and tell them that, you know what they do now? They used to back off. Now they tell them, they retrain these cops. They said when somebody bring up that, what is it? UCC 1-207 under duress, beat the fuck out of them. That's what they do. There's videos on that. You come in with that sovereign shit, they beat the fuck out you. Then they bring you, I'm sorry that I brought this up and I disturbed the court. Because they don't believe in their own fucking laws. See, the way this American law system is set up, you can use loopholes to get around the laws. That's why Nero 47 got the troops in here, because he's using loopholes. Technically, that's in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, but the loophole, the way around it, is the Insurrection Act. Y'all got to know these terms. You understand? Let's move on.
You're from, which makes you a servitude in servitude to the whole country. All right. So my next question says how many states in America have adopted a mobile driver's license? Because that's the new thing for America.
Which is federal. The star on it makes it federal ID. DMV is state. Each state has a different way of doing things, different license and all that. You got different laws too. So they're just making everything federal. And they can do that. I'm not mad. They can do that. They're just fulfilling prophecy. They ain't nothing wrong with what they're doing. They're just saying, look, we ain't dealing with the separate states. It's all federal. It's going to be federal United States. No more states.
Is adopting MDLs, mobile driver's license, right? Which is their way of, entering the digital ID, seeming like it's different from other countries, because other countries are doing it centralized. So this is their way of so-called doing it decentralized, So it says mobile driver's license and digital IDs are frequently asked questions. That's what FAQ means. Which states offer mobile driver's licenses? As of August 2024, which was last year, the following states have active MDLs: Arizona, California, Colorado, Delaware, Georgia, Hawaii, Iowa, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, Missouri, New York, Ohio, and Utah, as well as Puerto Rico. So pretty much what they're saying is they're adopting a form of digital ID, but being decentralized, meaning not controlled by one particular, power source, so to speak. But what it is they're getting these digital IDs, pushed worldwide, because this is the mode of the future. This is the wave of the future for interacting.
The prelude before the chip. Right? That's what it is. It's setting you up for the chip. Better wake up, Bishop Nathaniel, because you know that we've been saying the truth, and your pride is making it where you don't want to come out and admit it. You can't admit it after the fact. Got to admit it now that you were wrong. You were wrong, G. Inside joke.
With the global economic system, because it's not just going to be a state or city or country or countries. It's going to be a global thing. This is why Yahweh Shai said, because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world. So pretty much it's a global thing. And the reason why it's moving in this direction is because it's prophecy. This is why the individuals out there from these different former One West camps that have been teaching against the MOTB being the micro C here are scrambling and have to keep changing their doctrine, because you can't trump prophecy. You can't stop prophecy. And when you are deceptive in your tactics, you have to keep lying on top of lies, on top of lies, on top of lies, and keep it going. That's what the scriptures say, meddle not with them that are given the change. You had anything?
Yeah. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3.
Beautiful.
Yep. I started verse 2. And the Lord answered.
Matter of fact, start at 1. Yeah.
Yep,
Do an elder apostle. You might as well start at the top, brother.
Habakkuk 2 and 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower.
Right, and we're watchmen, and our job is to watch. And what are we watching for? We're watching for the words of the Lord speaking. For the words of the Lord. It's like you're sitting on a tower, and the job of the individual on the tower is to watch for the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
The enemy's coming. So you're looking, and then as soon as you see the enemy, what do? You don't go and have a sandwich.
Right.
A lamb sandwich with some libation.
Right.
You got to blow the trumpet.
Yeah.
To warn the people.
The scriptures say, sound an alarm on my holy mountain.
There you go.
And that's what the prophet's job is. And that's ultimately what it's talking about. Now the prophets have specific details to identify outside of the rest of the world. And that's how we're able to put these things in its proper timeline.
Yeah. It's a distinction in the sound. It gives you like a sense of, like when the ones that are tapped into the spirit hear it, they automatically fall in line with it.
Yeah.
Because it's already embedded in them.
Right.
But the ones that are not tapped into it, it becomes annoying to them.
Right. Yeah, that's why Yahweh said, my sheep hear my voice. What is the voice? It says what? The scripture says the testimony of Yahweh is the spirit of prophecy.
There you go.
So that voice is obviously dealing with the exact details of what's going to happen.
There you go.
And it's being said before it happens.
And this is how you know the distinction between a true prophet and a false prophet. The true prophet is not going to every 6 months to a year or every couple of years change the tune.
Right.
He ain't going to change it. The sound's going to be the same. That's why, you have a term called ad nauseum. You hear it over and over and over again till it's like it becomes nauseous. But it's because it's the same message. The message is not going to change. Just like we can bring out different articles that Esau's bringing out on the technology that they're rolling out, and the technology and the resources that they have and the information is going to be a different change.
Yeah.
But the scriptures don't change.
Right.
In other words, what I mean is you're going to have a lot of information coming out from different sources, different water holes.
Yeah. We see through a glass darkly.
There you go.
However, we still see.
There you go. But the scriptures don't change.
Right.
It's still the same message in the scriptures. And this is why you have different brothers tapped into different sources of information on this digital system that they're putting up, digital currencies, and brothers have different talking points, based on the same thing, which is what the MOTB, the micro C hip. Yep. Everything leading in that direction. Why? Because of prophecy timeline.
It's inevitable. It says, and we'll watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved.
Right. So that's the job of the prophet, to watch, and as soon as you see it, give the warning. Tell them this it's coming. Now you have those that are true watchmen that do bring it out, and you have those that are false, prophets that are not going to bring it out, that are going to give you a sense of hope in this society, and to put you to sleep.
So I'm going to move on to the next video. So watch the rest of this. It's an hour and change. Watch the rest of it. Let me just see what else is happening. Okay. Okay, this was just Trump narrow 47 third term. Okay, there was another one that the same. Bear me for a minute, y'all. Okay, I just want to click on this one.
Shalom. This is another quick one. I just kind of wanted to speak on this because I nearly forgot this while we was at camp yesterday. Basically, we was teaching yesterday at camp on the highways and hedges, and Brother Rakar, the brother you see standing next to me to the right on the screen, I'd asked him, he was reading out scripture, and then I asked him a question regarding Babylon the Great. And we were just teaching normally, and I asked him a question, and then this Jake woman was just walking past. And as she's walked past, boy, she just threw out the answer as she walked past and just kept on walking, man. It's like she just came out of nowhere and she just answered the question 100% right. She just threw out the answer and she just continued walking, but I didn't see where she came from. I don't even know how she even heard the conversation, because as you're going to see here and that, but it's like I said, while teaching at camp, boy, the spirit jumps on this passerby, it's a Jake woman, to answer a question, basically, and that. So I'm going to quickly play this little clip here and then bring out one scripture. All right, so I'm not going to spend too long, but it was like, wow, so, boy, that was the spirit of Yahweh Shimmy Hawashai, truly. But let's just hit play here.
That they control is where America, Babylon the Great, the United States of America.
Isaiah chapter 14 and 6. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted and none hindered.
So he that smote the people in wrath. Now, Babylon is getting ready to do what? What country are they getting ready to invade now?
Venezuela.
Thank you, darling. All praises to Yahweh, you see? All praises. That's the spirit.
God.
See that? As I said, that's the spirit. She just came out of nowhere. I don't know where she came from. I was talking to Brother Rakar. Brother Rakar didn't have the answer. All right, he fell short. He didn't have the answer, and she just came out of nowhere. And like the spirit just jumped on her to answer the question, man. Truly, I mean, just watch this again, right? I don't know where she came from. Truly, don't know where she came from.
Now, Babylon is getting ready to do what? What country are they getting ready to invade now?
Venezuela.
Thank you, darling. All praises to Yahweh, you see? All praises. That's the spirit.
God.
Venezuela. Absolutely.
Venezuela.
See that? That was the spirit jumped on this lady that was walking past and she answered the question. I didn't say what country is America getting ready to invade. I said, what country is Babylon getting ready to invade now? And the spirit jumped on this Jake woman and she said Venezuela. She put Brother Rakar to shame. He didn't have the answer. But that's how the spirit works. The spirit jumped.
A lot of people identify. A lot of people identify with Babylon as being America. The Rastas, Rasta music, Jamaican music, especially the revolutionary Rastas. They when they speak about Babylon fall, they're talking about America. They've been saying that for the longest. Let's listen on.
And she just gave the answer, Venezuela. I didn't say America, I didn't say Trump, I said Babylon the Great. So she knew Babylon is where is America.
Yeah.
As well. So she answered two questions in one. She knew America was Babylon, and she knew it was getting ready to invade Venezuela. So read that verse again.
I should have been Johnny on the spot with that, because
Yes.
our people in Trinidad.
It should have been. But like I said, that's how the spirit works. Jumped on a stranger, just came past to give the answer, which is beautiful. I like those things that happen in the spirit. You know, you don't need to anyone or to listen to this. The spirit just jumped on her to give the answer, to hear the question and to give the answer. 100% correct. That's beautiful.
I don't even know if you heard the question. It's not like I say we were shouting. We're just talking normally, like I'm talking now. No, we ain't got no megaphones, no speakers, no nothing like that. But it was just like bam, and I was like, boy. Sometimes that's how the Lord works, boy. Just to remind you that we're doing the Lord's will, man. That he's happy with us, kind of thing. And it's just one of those things. This is why I just bring it up, man, because it really did stand out yesterday. It really did stand out yesterday, completely stood out yesterday. And scripture I was thinking of was David's last song, when David said in 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 2, and he says, the Spirit of the Lord Yahweh spake by me, and his word was in my tongue. All right, and that's kind of what happened, was that the Spirit that spoke by her, and the Lord's word was in her tongue. She came out with the 100% correct answer. So that's all I wanted to say, basically. As always, we've got a good old scoffer on the comment board, but we ain't got no time to respond to you. Moderators, just get rid of that scoffer, because I want to shut this down now anyway. But there's a scoffer on the comment board as such. But these are the last days. So anyway, that was it really. All praise and glory to the Heavenly Father Yahweh, and to His only begotten Son Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, and shalom to the hopeful elect, brothers and sisters of the house of Israel. As we always say, many are called, few are chosen. Right? Chosen are the elect of the nation of Israel. All praises and glory.
So with that, I'm going to say shalom. Until the next shalom.